Welcome back. In the last video, we learned how to store data. Today, we learn how to use it. To build a real app, your code needs to be able to do math and make decisions. We do this using operators. You already know the basics: plus, minus, multiply, and divide. But in programming, we also have comparison operators. These ask questions like, is the user's age greater than 18? Or is the password equal to what we stored? These questions always return a boolean, the type that we learned before in the previous episode with the help of a diagrammatic switch. Boolean always returns true or false. This brings us to control flow statements. Normally, Dart runs code like a waterfall, top to bottom. But with an if statement, we can create a fork in the road. If the condition is true, Dart chooses one path. If it's false, it chooses the other path using the else keyword. It's exactly like choose your own adventure books, but for computers. Now let's make a security gate program. Follow along. Let me start off with our main function, void main. Inside our main function, I want this program to basically check the drinking age of a user and tell me if the user should be allowed entry or not. Firstly, we need our user's age. So we want to store that into a variable. The way we do that is with the int keyword, user age equals to, let's say, 20. Next, we want the drinking age. So our drinking age should be 21. So our user age is 20 and our drinking age is 21. Now we want to print entry granted if the user is above the drinking age or equal to the drinking age. And we want to print entry denied if the user is too young. So the way we do that is using control flow statements. So we start with our if keyword. Inside our if keyword, we need a condition. So if our user age is greater than or equal to our drinking age, then user should be allowed entry. Then we should print entry granted. Don't forget the semicolon. Else, that means that our user is not above the drinking age, so we want to print entry denied. User is too young, maybe. So if we run this program, it works exactly like expected. Since our user age is below our drinking age, so 20 is not smaller or equal to 21, entry is denied because our user is too young. If I change our user age to, let's say, something like 25, and then run our program, entry granted, because this condition returns true, which causes the code to go inside this block and print the statement that is in here. Now, when the if condition is true, it ignores the else block. If the if condition is false, it only runs the else block. Sometimes one condition isn't enough. What if you need a correct username and a correct password? In Dart, we use 2 ampersands for and 2 pipes for or. So let me write that out. 2 ampersands, this means and 2 pipes, this means or. I'm sure you must be familiar with and or statements. And basically means that both of the conditions need to be true, and or means that either of the conditions should be true. This allows you to build complex logic, like checking if a user is a premium member or a user has a discount code before showing them a price. Let's see this via an example. So if I want to make tea, I need both tea leaves and I need water, but sugar is optional. Let me create 3 Boolean variables. So bool, let's say tea leaves equals to true, bool water equals to true, and bool sugar equals to false, let's say. Let's start with our logic. If we have tea leaves and we have water and we have sugar, then we want to print that tea can be prepared with sugar. All right. Else if. So else if we only have tea leaves and we have water, then tea can be prepared without sugar. Lastly, if we come to this condition, it means that we either don't have tea or we either don't have water. So in this case, we print tea cannot be prepared. Let's go about this step by step. So firstly, if we have all tea leaf, water, and sugar, then tea can be prepared with sugar. The other condition that we have is we have tea leaves and water. So even if we don't have sugar, with just tea leaves and water, tea can be prepared without sugar. And our last condition is if we don't have tea leaves or water or sugar. So in that case, tea cannot be prepared at all. So in our first case, tea leaves and water is available to us. So this print statement should be executed. And so it is. If we turn all of these to true, so all of these are true, then this statement will return true and this print statement should be executed. And it does. Now, if either tea leaves or water is false, then the bottom statement should be printed out. Tea cannot be prepared at all because you need both tea leaves and water to prepare tea. This was an example of AND statements and combining else if chains to make complex logic in your programs. You can also use OR logic in a similar way. Let's give a day. So string day equals to, let's say today is Monday. In our if statement, if day equals to, so equals to is how you check. It's your comparison operator. So if you're checking against a variable, you put a double equals to. Remember, if you put just a single equals to, it's an assignment operator and it won't actually compare the values. To compare values, you need to put double equals to. If day is a Saturday, or, so for OR you use double pipes, or our day is a Sunday. So in these two cases, I want to print that it is a holiday. Else, we simply print it is a work day. So if you run this program now, it should print it is a work day since it's Monday. But if I change this to Saturday, then it prints it is a holiday. Or if I change this to Sunday, it prints it is a holiday. Because this is OR and either one of these statements needs to be true for this print statement to execute. If neither of them are true, then the else code statement executes. So you can look at this example. So email and password. In a normal login system, both your email and password should be true for you to be able to log into an account. So if both your email and password are true, when you hit that submit button, your if statement compares your email, your password against some sort of data that we have stored and then logs you in. If either of those data are wrong, so when you used %, if either of these data are wrong, then either you have an incorrect password or you have an incorrect username and you don't get to log in. You've just given your code a brain. You've moved from simple storage to actual logic. Your homework, go to Dartpad and create a variable called temperature. Write an if-else statement that prints bring an umbrella if the temperature is below 60 and wear a t-shirt if it's above. In the next video, we are moving on to functions. We're going to learn how to package this logic so we can reuse it over and over again. Subscribe and I'll see you there. Happy coding!